How we going, folks? Welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin. I've got an album review for you. So today we're going to be talking about Testimony of Apocalypse, The Offering. Let's take this booklet out so it doesn't... I normally have a light on my laptop here, and sometimes that's the one that causes all the... But no, I think it just happens. But there you go. Bit of background on this one. So this is the second album from the project. But the first album, which I regret not getting when it came out, actually, I was having a listen. When it comes to Christian metal, there's 3 sites I go on. So there's Rox Records, Bones Overstocks, and Soundmass. And I think it was Rox Record, because I think the first album might have come out on Scott Walter's label, No Life Till Metal. He's got a couple, there's a few. There's Brutal Records. They all kind of mix. This person runs this one and this one, and all the stores all pretty much stock the same anyway. But yeah, I remember listening to that, to a couple of tracks, and I don't know, for some reason it didn't quite grab me and didn't quite, well, not enough to buy. And I try to make up a big order, but at the same time try and be selective, because the postage and packaging is quite steep from the US to the UK. So I normally save up, wait for a few releases that I want, and then make a big order. At the same time, try and narrow it down. So for some reason, I didn't quite take to Testimony of Apocalypse's first album, with the couple of tracks that were available to listen to. But I regret it now, because this album's made me want to go back and get it. So next time I go on there and have a spending spree, I'll look out for that first album. But Testimony of Apocalypse, the first album featured the singer and vocalist. The singer and vocalist. The vocalist and drummer of Sacrament, whose first album, Testimony of Apocalypse. Seeing the connection now, folks. This gets quite well regarded on your top 10 or whatever Christian metal albums. Gets brought up quite often there in thrash metal lists, top 10 lists or whatever it is, top 100. I think if you look up underrated thrash metal, if you look up websites like Worship Metal, they do really good lists of most underrated this genre or that genre, and you normally find hidden treasures on that site. And but yeah, this album comes up quite often on that as well. So the first album featured the singer and drummer of Sacrament, and I'm guessing that's where they took the name. So it features Mike Pacitti, I think, I hope I pronounce it. He's on guitar, bass and keyboards. You've got Paul Graham on drums, who was in Sacrament. And they used to feature the vocalist Mike Tyrone, who was in Sacrament. So that was the first album, Non-Escape the Judgment, and like I say, I didn't pick it up when it came out, and I regret it now, so I will be picking it up. But then you've got this second album, The Offering. You've got the same guys as before, so you've got the same guy on drums, Paul Graham on drums, and Mike Pacitti on keyboards and guitar. But then you've got a bunch of guests doing bass, vocals, and guitar leads. And on this album, you've got pretty much a different singer on every track. Now, that's a blessing and a curse. You got you normally get that when guitarists put out a solo album. I'm thinking Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath. I'm thinking Slash. There's the main one. His first. I don't know if he did it for the rest of his albums, but his first solo album was a different singer on every song. Ace from Skunk Anansie, if anyone remembers them. And the problem with it is where you got a different vocalist, even if they are the same style, it can, no matter how good you do it, the sequence of the songs never quite settles into a rhythm, because every song is different. So it always feels like you're listening to a compilation rather than a constant flow that you would get with a normal album. But with that being said, all the vocalists on this do a good job. They tend to go into the realm of shouting, screaming death metal growls in the verses, and then switch to a clean sung chorus. a favourite of mine is Dead Man Walking. Really good chorus on that. Opening track, The Time Has Come, is pretty good as well. They're all good, but Dead Man Walking is the got a really good earworm to it. That and Majested as well. The closing track starts off acoustic and then builds up to this nice epic final. So to sum up, really, musically speaking, what do you expect from this? Think Testament. Think the last 4 or 5 Testament albums, sort of from Formation of Damnation onwards, where Testament have got a nice balance of all the different sort of what am I trying to say? The different styles, different textures of their style. So Testament at the moment have found that really nice sweet spot between thrash metal with a bit of death metal chucked in, with a bit of melodic sort of classic metal thrown in as well. And Chuck Billy is quite versatile with his vocals, so it all becomes like this nice mixture that sits nicely in the middle of all the different subgenres. And so think later day Testament, think Killswitch Engage at their heaviest. Think a bit of metalcore, but more verging on the heavier side of thrash metal, i.e. Testament, in the last 15 years or so. Most notably though on here as well, the opening track features Derek Corzine, I think it is. Let me just quickly... Yeah, that's the guy. Derek Corzine, I think it is. Now, he's done vocals on this track, on one track here. I think he played bass on here. He might have done a bit of production work. I think he did a bit of production on the first album, something along those lines. He's been working in the band, in the studio with them, in various roles, and he does lead vocals on the opening track. But he's now, since this album's come out, he's become the full-time vocalist. So live shows going forwards, he is the front man. But he is also a multi-instrumentalist, and has done a project called Bloodthirsty, and they got a phenomenal album, Sanguine River Absolution. They got a couple of EPs and whatnot as well, but there's just one album at the moment. Like I say, it's all him. He's a multi-instrumentalist. Imagine Hate Eternal backed by an orchestra. That's the best way I can describe this. It's utterly insane. So yeah, Hate Eternal backed by an orchestra with Christian themed lyrics. That's Bloodthirsty. Check that out. Also check out Sacrament as well. Classic thrash. But yeah, definitely check out Testimony of Apocalypse as well. And more for me for not getting their first album. I'm definitely going to try and catch up with that now. But yeah, it's just a good collection of really good, solid, modern day metal in the vein of metalcore, i.e. Killswitch Engage. Verging though slightly into death metal, thrash metal territory with big melodic choruses, i.e. Testament in the last 4 or 5 albums. I think that sums it up quite nicely. Yeah, good collection of songs. Great vocals all round as well. It's a different vocalist more or less on every track, but everyone does a great job and puts their own spin on it. But I do think having one vocalist to carry on is the way to go moving forward. Let's go through it. You got Brian Lyder, Jean Mario, Jonathan Johnson, Darren Johnson, Corey Weaver, Vil Herangen. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your names, people. Paul White, Greg Minier, Aaron Mackey-Moore. I shouldn't have started this really, should I? Anderson Lima and Ryan Robeck. He does guitar lead on track 3. Yeah, that's pretty much all vocalists. Oh yeah, Derek Calzon does vocals and bass on track 1. Let's just see who's produced it. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Derek Calzine does the mixing for this album. There you go. But he's now the front man. So yeah, it's good to see that they got a front man going forward, and it's interesting to see how this project develops. And I'm going to catch up, like I say, get the first one, and and it's good to see people involved from other bands that I've got as well. So yeah, check out Testimony of Apocalypse. it's a good slice of modern metal, and that's pretty much it. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you soon.